Welcome back, panelists here. NBC News senior Washington correspondent Hallie Jackson, anchor of Hallie Jackson Now. Peter Baker, the chief White House correspondent for the New York Times. Stephen Hayes, CEO and editor of The Dispatch. And Kimberly Atkins Stohr, senior opinion writer for the Boston Globe. Will they, can they, should they, Hallie? The president's defenders were out. Here is how the defense of the indictment began this week.
Is it a good picture to have boxes in a garage that opens up all the time? A bathroom door locks.
There are 33 bathrooms at Mar-a-Lago. So don't act like it's just in some random bathroom that the guests can go into.
He is not a spy. He's overcharged. Did he do things wrong? Yes, he may have. He will be tried about that.
So where are we?
Okay, will they, can they, should they? The people that you just saw, of course, are going to back Donald Trump. They're some of his most loyal allies, members of Congress, et cetera. That fits of a piece of where we are right now. Will they, can they, should they? Will they? I will tell you, not for a long while, and that's a quote that I heard in the last 18 hours from a member of a rival campaign. There is very little incentive for most of these people going up against Donald Trump in this election, based on my reporting, to try to take him on, to pull the knives out right now. For a number of reasons. They say that's just not where the voters are. That's not where the Republican primary electorate is. The numbers that you showed at the top of the segment, Chuck, show that, right? That is actually backed up by facts. Voters don't necessarily want to see that. You're going to have Chris Christie, you're going to have Asa Hutchinson come out and talk about this. You're going to have Nikki Haley try to walk this line where it's incredibly reckless on the one hand, but on the other hand, she'd consider pardoning him, et cetera. Can they? They can. We're seeing what they choose to do. And should they? That's an assessment that each of these campaigns is going to have to come up with for themselves.
Peter Baker, the field is kind of split on the pardoning of Trump here. Here are those that are inclined to be for pardoning him. Nikki Haley, she said, even used the word inclined in favor of a pardon. Vivek Ramaswamy, he is making it a lead part of his campaign. He held up the paper as his commitment to pardon him. Governor DeSantis, very inclined to grant clemency as he talks about it. But when you turn the page, Tim Scott is not ready to discuss hypotheticals. Chris Christie implying that if it's a fair trial, he wouldn't pardon him. And then, of course, it's wrong. Trump's blotting out the sun. So if you don't take him on the indictments, you're not going to get any coverage.
No, that's exactly right. He is the all-consuming part of the Republican primary right now. And to Hallie's point, I get the point. We're not having votes yet. So maybe if you're going to eventually take that knives out, you want to wait till you get closer to when the votes begin rather than make yourself a target for him for the next 3 or 4 or 5 months. I think the real strategy, though, is they're just waiting for Trump to beat himself. Because right now, none of them can beat him. So they're waiting for him to
That worked really well in 15 and 16.
Well, they didn't have prosecutors in 2015 and 2016. Maybe this will be different. That's the theory. This is not the end of the criminal justice system's handling of Donald Trump. There may be a third and even a fourth indictment. At some point, the calculation is, does that begin to weigh him down?
Are we seeing the Fifth Avenue moment come to life?
Yeah, this is it. This is the Fifth Avenue indictment. I mean, I think that's what we're looking at. Look, I take the point that these campaigns are making, that they don't want to go after him right now, that it might be too early. But come on. He's the front runner. If you don't make this argument, you're never going to convince voters that they should back away from Donald Trump if you don't make this argument. I think there's this misperception among the Republican rank and file that nobody in Washington, none of the Republicans in Washington, none of the candidates opposing him actually think this is serious, are concerned about this. When in reality, I mean, we know we're all having conversations with them. They're saying to us privately, wow, this is bad.
And they looked at, the indictment was worse than we thought.
Holy cow.
This is bad. He's on tape basically admitting it. I mean, this is what you hear from Republicans privately, and then they say in public, well, I'm really concerned about Hillary Clinton and the Justice Department.
But how deep of a hole can they dig, though? Because, as you say, this is only going to get worse. If there are indictments out of Georgia, already the indictment out of New York, these are things that they can't even pardon, so they can't even use that argument when talking about it. And as things get progressively worse, where can Republican House members go past, once you put a lock on the bathroom door, it's essentially a skiff. It's the same thing. I mean, they've reached such a low point. How much further can they dig? I think it will do long-term damage to the party.
Let me bring up, though, a concern that some Democrats are having, that the White House is being too quiet about this. We had some reporting over the weekend, Kimberly, one anonymous staffer. It's malpractice to let them dominate, referring to Trump, to fill in the blanks here. Biden's allies should be hitting him hard. Donor. I don't think it's sustainable to say nothing. Another strategist. In a lot of ways, we're almost allowing him to fight on his own turf. Look, we've heard this before. He fills the vacuum. This happened with Mueller. Mueller didn't say a word, never defended his work. Jack Smith doesn't defend, It's because it would be inappropriate to do so.
Yeah.
And Trump uses those norms to his advantage. But should Democrats be leaning in more?
Well, here Biden's in a weird position, right? 'Cause he's in two roles. One, he's the president of the United States. And in that role, he's absolutely right that the president does not have any power and should not have any power to influence the Justice Department. He is also the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party in the presidential, and Donald Trump is his opponent. And is this an electability issue? You bet it is. And so he has to find a way to be able to talk about the rule of law and explain why it's so important, and somebody who absolutely flouts it is unfit for office, while at the same time keeping his hands off the Justice Department as the commander-in-chief.
No, if you can do both.
I think they'd like to run against Donald Trump, so they don't want to do this right now. And it's important to. There are some real concerns that Republicans raise that are more than just whataboutism about the way that the Department of Justice and the FBI has conducted itself, particularly during the Trump administration. There are legitimate concerns raised by the Department of Justice Inspector General that Republicans can point to. I think there are legitimate beefs that Republicans make about Hillary Clinton and the non-prosecution of Hillary Clinton. Those are fair points. If Democrats were to pile on now in a public way, Joe Biden especially, and go after Trump on this indictment, they would just be validating all of those concerns from Republicans.
Joe Biden sort of, it sparked, she goes, I can't believe Republicans are sticking up.
I'm a little bit surprised, she said.
Right, yeah. That was like the tiptoe.
It was like the float, if you will. I think this conversation, though, is bringing us back to where we started this discussion, which is half of Republicans don't believe that the Department of Justice is a fair institution. Half of Republicans, roughly, when you look at polling over the last 8 to 12 months, just don't think that the DOJ or the FBI is worthy of their favorability, if you will. That is a huge, I think, bigger macro issue playing out over the course of the next multiple years for a party that, as you know, has long been built on this idea of law and order. And the shift away from that is really interesting here.
You know, it does beg the question, what's worse? Bringing this charge and not getting a conviction, or bringing this charge, getting the conviction, and living with the fallout of that? It feels like these are just nothing but bad options.
Yeah, not a lot of good options. But you asked the question, right? What if you have this set of facts and you don't bring charges? What does that say about our justice system? Yeah. Is there, in fact, a get-out-of-jail-free card for former presidents? You can do anything you want and nobody ever holds you accountable. That's a problem.
Especially if you have the just sort of hang over the illusion that I could start violence.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.